Hello and welcome to round 5 of the W Series Esports League. Our virtual tour this evening takes us to the heart of Europe and one of the best racing tracks anywhere in the world. And to guide us through this one, I'm delighted to say Luke Crane, our esports commentator, and Billy Munger is back. Gents, how good is this? We get a free trip to Spa and we know it's not even going to rain. This, Billy, must be a driver's dream.
Spa's such an amazing track in real life and in the virtual world as well. I've done sim races around here. There's always action, always overtaking, and even when you think you're out of a race, the tow and slipstreaming effects can really bring you back into it. So I think we're going to see action throughout the entire race.
Look, I know this is one of your favourites as well.
I love Spa. Spa's one of those tracks that just it survived the test of time. A lot of circuits have been decommissioned over the last sort of 20 years, but this one is still regarded as one of the very best in the world. And every time where there's a sim race or a real race, I've actually never got to go to Spa in real life before, somewhere I genuinely want to go to. It's always like a celebration for me. I just get really excited, hence the celebration shirt as well. But yeah, Spa always delivers incredible racing, and also the possibility of some not necessarily favourite winners as well.
Billy, it's absolutely my favourite racetrack anywhere in the world. You raced there several times. I know you raced there last year as well. I imagine it's a place where you need to feel comfortable because all those interflowing corners really make a difference when you can link them together.
Yeah, Spa's such a rhythm track. It takes. I remember the first time I went to Spa in real life and climbed through a Bredillon and Eau Rouge and thought, oh my god, like this is actually real. And yeah, it's just like such a circuit that every time you go back there, you learn something new about it, and there's always a little sort of technique or a bit of tarmac you can use that you didn't realise was there the last time. It's such a big circuit with so many, like you say, fast-flowing corners that link in together, and just experience around there just pays dividend.
And look, will that be the same in terms of sim racing? Is this somewhere where a driver needs to feel comfortable the more time they've had to practice? Because not every driver will actually have visited Spa, maybe from their own living rooms on their sims. But is it exactly the same theory that the more comfortable you are, the more laps you've done, the better you will be?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar to Brands Hatch in regards to it's in most sim racing games. You know, when I was a kid, it was in like all of the games like Gran Turismo, etc., etc. So you know, I've done thousands upon thousands of laps around this specific circuit, and I'm sure the drivers here today would have done exactly the same. But again, it's just a really, really special circuit. And like Billy said, whether it be on the sim or in real life, it is kind of pinch yourself moment that you're at such a circuit like this. But you've got to get over that very, very quickly. It's also one of those circuits that if you get any sort of front end damage, there's so many fast flowing corners here, you can really hemorrhage time as well. So there's like a couple of battles. It's obviously having ultimate pace around the circuit, but just try and keep that nose clean.
Well, before we talk about the main protagonists, let's just remind ourselves of what's happening in the championship, because as I mentioned, this is round 5 and we've had 4 rounds up until this point, and there is one name who really has been leading the way, and that is Visser, and she is sitting pretty right at the top in the 200s. Irina Sidorkova, now 17, we can't say the 16-year-old anymore, she's turned 17, 161 points. She has 3 wins to her name. And Marta Garcia, she had a great weekend last week in Interlagos, where round 4 was. Caitlin Wood, 123 points. And Tasman Pepper, another to move up the board there into 5th. It's pretty tight after that. And I think that's something, Billy, that we should be talking about. The fact that our 3 races with full points, and I'll run through the format a little bit later on, it does mean that midfield can swap around quite quickly.
Yeah, it really does. And as we go through the weeks, we've seen some people improve quicker than others. So that table is constantly changing as people that have got less experience in the sim racing world sort of adapt and overcome sort of any issues they have with their sims and get used to the feeling of driving a simulator, which obviously is a little bit different to real life. And I'm sure we're going to see some more surprising names up there this week. Whether that's them coming out on top or just moving into the top 10, we'll have to wait and see.
It would be foolish to not expect Visser to do well again tonight, Luke, but that is the measure of a really talented driver, somebody who can win at all manner of racetracks.
Yeah, she is on a different level right now. Yeah, just an absolute machine, as I keep calling her. But I think the two drivers to really look out for here today, outside of Sidorkova and of course Bajtska is indeed Marta Garcia. So she's led a few races, not quite got it together, but very reminiscent to the W Series last year, the official series. She got better and better and better as the competition went on, and it's happening again here in the sim racing world. But Tasmin Pepper, under the radar, not had that standout result yet, but still in the top 5. So I'm expecting huge things from both of those drivers.
Well, let's just remind ourselves of the format, because as we've been mentioning, we've got 3 races tonight. You can see there, you get full points for all 3 races. You get points from 1st right down to 15th. And as we've always been saying over the last 4 weeks, that race 2 is a reversal of how they finish in race 1. So there really is a lot to play for. It can get mixed up in that midfield if you have a really strong performance. I am though delighted to say that somebody who's been doing so well in qualifying over the last 4 weeks and joining us now is our UK-based Aussie, Caitlin Wood. Caitlin, great to see you. 4th in the championship at the moment, but my goodness, you've put in some great qualifying performances and races. You must be pleased with how this Esports League is going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm, like most of us, I'm new to it all. So there's been, a lot of hours been spent on the sim trying to get to grips with it all. So I've been, super happy with, I guess, my results so far. We've got quite a few poles, but no wins yet. So that's definitely on the list to try and achieve. But yeah, I've got pretty much a podium at most of the rounds. So I'm quite happy with that so far.
I hope you don't mind me saying, sometimes you don't always make life easy for yourself, because you go out to these really difficult tracks, you get that pole position, and then it seems that you get tangled up in something, but you work your way through the field so well that it puts you back into all these podium positions.
Yeah, you could say that. I haven't made my life easy for myself, but I think it's just getting used to it all, isn't it? It is very different to real life. So I seem to be able to pull the lap out. It's the starts that I'm struggling with, like you said, staying out of trouble. So yeah, just keep it clean, and I've been able to do that for the previous races now. Brands was obviously, I wasn't too happy with myself after that spin, but it is what it is, and I fought back. So yeah, it's interesting. At least I keep everyone on their toes, don't I?
Bajtska is very much the one to beat. You imagine that's going to be the same at Spa this evening?
I would assume so. I think just from the servers that we've been in, having a few practice sessions, she's been quite quick throughout this week. But yeah, she's got the knack of the sim. I think she's a bit more experienced than most of us. Hands down, obviously a very talented driver. So it would be good to try and get back up there and maybe nip her to pole again and try and give her a run for her money. But yeah, we'll just have to see.
Well, Caitlin, great to see you. Thanks very much for joining us, and best of luck tonight. Now, as Caitlin said, Bajtska is very much still the one to beat, and she can show us round her home in the Netherlands.
Bajtska is going to see what she can do.
She's got a battle for this championship.
This is going to get a nose through. Bajtska takes the win in the W Series.
Yeah, well done.
And my goodness, has she done it in style.
So we enter here in the kitchen. Here we have the garage. Those bottles are not mine. That's all I can do. My father was doing a bit of racing, so I was always around cars. Then once I went with my dad to a 24-hour kart race, and I saw a little baby kart there, and that's when I was 3. My bedroom, got most of my trophies here. I didn't really want to be doing anything else. When friends of me had birthday parties on the weekend, I was like, I'm racing, so I'm not coming.
This was the first one.
For my birthday?
Yeah.
Finally, after 2 years.
Yeah.
I went to school until I was 15, but then when I started karting internationally, I was away so much from home that I could not really combine school and racing anymore. Quitting school is quite a big decision.
For me, it's follow your passion, follow your dream and go for it.
I think my 5-year-old self would never expect this outcome. Yeah, I think any 5-year-old should just be enjoying themselves and don't think about anything, just have fun.
Great to see Bijtska at home in the Netherlands there. Now, you certainly wouldn't bet against her getting her 8th victory tonight at Spa. Let's find out if she puts herself in the best possible position. It's qualifying for race 1 with Luke and Billy.
Thank you, Lee. Welcome then to Spa for the W Series Esports League, round number 5, race number 1. We're in qualifying right now, and I am joined by Billy Wiz. Billy Munger, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate.
Good stuff. Spa, of course, you've got previous here. These drivers are going to be super, super excited to run around such a historic circuit here. What are the big points we're looking at for these drivers to gain as much lap time as possible?
Obviously, Spa, high, fast-flowing circuit, lots of long sort of sequence corners, so it's all about knowing your positioning on track, setting up the exit at the next corner. It's always about thinking ahead, really, I'd say, Spa, especially the middle sector, Sector 2. That's where I think you'll see a lot of difference in terms of the lap times of these drivers, and the top competitors will make the difference there.
Yeah, well, we've got right now, as we head into the second phase of qualifying, 4 minutes left on the clock, and they should really be going right to the wire here today because it's such a long circuit indeed. But it is the two Spaniards then, Marta Garcia and Neria Marti, then, who are on P1 and P2. Qualifying is 10 minutes long, and then they do indeed have a 15-minute timed race. Race number 2 then is a full reversal of the first race results, and then we have a third race, the feature race, 20 minutes long, which is again 10 minutes of qualification. And yeah, it's one of those circuits, Billy, where qualifying really is key. Race 2 is going to be very, very interesting, so you want to kind of get a really good result in race 1, but ideally race 2 you kind of want to be near the front. It's a tough one today because it is such a unique circuit.
Yeah, it really is, especially with the slipstreaming up these long straights that you tend to have after sort of Eau Rouge and stuff like that at Spa. Yeah, it's going to be really tricky to make a lot of consistent passes because although you may have the slipstream of someone else, they're going to have it on you. It's going to be a real sort of train effect we see in the races. But I'm sure that everyone's still going to want to be on pole position, and we'll see if Visser can get it done now.
Yeah, Visser, well, only up to P2 here, so we are maybe seeing a little chink in the armour here, Visser. Well, Visser's been incredible every single week so far. And you're right, Billy, normally around a circuit, you get through turn 1 and turn 2, and it kind of sort of settles down nicely. But we've got that Kemmel straight here today, where indeed up towards that first chicane, it really doesn't settle down. It really is going to be fast and frantic, and it's going to be really exciting for not only us, but everybody watching at home.
Yeah, it really is. Spa is such an action-packed circuit. I mean, I know from my racing, I remember starting here in P3, I think it was, for the race I did in F3, and coming up the end of the top straight, I was in P1 because of the slipstream. So as much as pole position is a great achievement for any of these drivers to get, it doesn't mean that they can't be leading after that one.
No, absolutely not. But Marta Garcia then still is in P1 here with Visser joining her on the front row of the grid. Then we've got Neria Marti in third. And Tasmin Pepper, we're on board with right now, the South African, 0.6 of a second down there in P4. Not known for her qualifying over this series so far, but right at the sharp end of the grid here today, which is going to be really, really exciting for us watching because, like I said in the intro, she's flown under the radar this season. She's in the top 5, not really had a standout result. And, well, if she could be at the sharp end at the start of the race, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, you really don't. And she's been really consistent in improving every week that I've seen her so far. And I think if she carries on that, she'll be a real threat to the likes of Visser and Marta Garcia. It may be this race, it may be next week. We never know.
Yeah, we've got Silikova then is in that top 5 again, not really known for her qualifying pace, but in the races, of course, got 3 race victories so far this season. Visser with 7, and then we've got Kimmelainen, who's only down in P12 then with 2 race wins, the 2 first reverse grid races of round 1 and indeed round number 2. But Marta Garcia, let's have a little chat about her. She has got faster and faster and faster every single week. In qualifying, she's managed to get herself a P2 a couple of times, but managed to jump Visser twice over the last 2 rounds. But today, looking likely, unless Visser can do something, or maybe Marty, she might even start on pole position today. Known to get off of the line very quickly indeed. And wow, this is a huge opportunity. Actually goes a little bit faster again. A 2:19.460 then is provisionally our pole time. And Visser now 2 tenths behind. We're on board with Pepper. Pepper on a final qualifying lap as it stands. And wow, this is huge for Marta Garcia.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, we talk about the slipstream. I said about how I started third and was leading after lap 1. I mean, it would only be Marta Garcia's luck to finally get a pole position in the W Series Esports League and then to lose it on lap 1 because of the characteristics of the circuit.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But as it stands then, Marta Garcia is going to start on pole position with Visser in 2nd spot. And well, we've seen those two duke it out in the first couple of laps. Last week at Interlagos, we actually saw Marta hold on to the lead for a few laps here. Another opportunity. Will we see Marta get her first win?
I remember watching her in race 3, I think it was at Brands Hatch. And her defensive skills, although she lost it in the end, she showed some really good fighting characteristics and she knew where to position the car. So this is going to be her toughest challenge yet for sure. Being on pole position, Visser behind her, and there's threats coming from everywhere now. All these girls and all these young drivers are getting more and more competitive every week. Spa is definitely a circuit that can show off how good you are at defending your position. And if she gets her head down, I'm sure she'll put in a good performance here.
So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. It's race 1 here at Spa of the W Series Esports League. We've got Marta Garcia on pole position, Visser in 2nd spot then. Neria Marti then is in 3rd, and well, and Marta Garcia again with an absolute flyer here. Down in towards turn number 1. It's a big old choke point here. And actually you can see potentially Sidorkova making a move on Visser. No, not quite able to do so here. But Marta Garcia leads out. A couple of drivers there running a little bit wide. Nice and clean here. But like I said earlier, this is one of those circuits where it's not over after turn number 1. It doesn't filter into a nice sensible bit of racing. We've now got indeed Rouge and Radion to contend with, then the Kemmel Straight, and then the long run down towards that first chicane. And Marta does lead here, but look at this. We've got Visser and Sidorkova very close behind. There's a big off then in the background there, and I think that might have been Tasmin Pepper just catching a bit too much curve there, and actually a couple of cars then into the barrier. But here we go, down in towards then the first chicane. You can see Marta Garcia went a little bit defensive then on Sidorkova, but I think you'll find that Visser has tried to make a move around the outside, and well, has it worked out? No, it hasn't. So Marta Garcia then does indeed hold on. So she had to defend from 2 drivers there, Billy, and successfully did so.
Yeah, well, at one stage there with a slipstream, I really thought Sidorkova could come through into the lead. Like, it looked from P3 that she may have that opportunity, but Marta Garcia did a great job there, kept composed, didn't outbrake herself as well into the that top chicane after the Kemmel Straight, which is quite an easy thing to do on lap 1 when you're trying to keep position. So no, that was very composed from her there.
I spoke to a few drivers before the esports series started, actually. Notably, Jamie Chadwick mentioned that the real strength of Marta Garcia is her braking ability. She just seems to be able to find so much time in the braking zones. And we saw that Visser actually went into that first chicane with her nose ahead, but Marta still held onto the lead. And it was not like they were side by side through the first chicane. Marta just absolutely dominated there, got the car ahead, and well, that's kind of not half the job done, but you know, that first Kemmel Straight, making sure you're leading out of that first chicane, you know, down in towards the 2nd sector, into the 3rd sector, that's huge. But I tell you what, Visser, who's normally used to leading race number 1, is actually looking in the rearview mirror here more than looking forward, because Sidorkova is very close as they come down towards the bus stop chicane here. Visser goes defensive, and well, there's not really an option to go around the outside there. You've got to be very brave indeed, and actually just have to get off the gas ever so slightly. And Neria Marti now putting pressure on the Russian. As they come down towards the bus stop here, Sidorkova then taking a very acute angle through the final chicane. But as we come up to the end of lap number 1 here, Billy, it is Marta Garcia who has fended off the challenge of 3 other drivers and leads the way.
Yeah, she's done a fantastic job. She's opened up the gap to nearly 1 second. I think it's 9.5 tenths from what the timing screens are telling us. And I think that may just be enough to get her out of the slipstream of Visser, which if it is, that's a great first lap. That's everything she could have hoped for.
Yeah, exactly that. Again, 9/10 of a second. It's going to be close. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be close. I think the one move we might see here, though, potentially, is Sidorkova being overtaken by Neria Marti. Then Sidorkova has got that slipstream, but look at the exit there over the top of Eau Rouge. That's a beautiful bit of work there then from Neria Marti. Takes P3, and now with the slipstream of Visser as well, should be able to pull ahead here of Sidorkova. How good is Sidorkova on the brakes, though? Up towards the right-hander here, and Sidorkova, again, not able to indeed reciprocate that position. The gap's still around about 9/10 of a second. So Marta Garcia, again, with the slipstream, it would have been a factor, but getting a very good exit. Both Spaniards are getting very good exits over the top of the hill. Looks like we had Pepper and Moore, unfortunately, had to go into the pits then for a fast repair. So it looks like we've got 15 drivers on the lead lap as it stands. But Marta Garcia leads. Big opportunity here. I'm telling you, it's not far away at all here. Oh, actually, there's a big off there by Marty. Marty runs wide then through No Name. It actually does have a name these days. I can't remember what it is, but it's for me, it's always going to be No Name. Through Puon, you can see there that it's a very tight angle taken by Sidokova. Sidokova trying to shape up a potential move here then as we come down towards the double left-handers. And Marty, well, Marty is going to hold on to that position, but they are now hemorrhaging time to our P1 and P2, Billy.
Yeah, it was a slight mistake from Marty on the exit of turn 11, and it's just allowed Sidokova to put a bit of pressure on her, make a half a pass, and that's dropped them away from the front two, which, I mean, in the terms of keeping with the slipstream and keeping in the train, that's not great for them. You don't really want to be battling, especially with so much time left on the clock of this race.
Yeah, for sure, and for the likes of Sidokova, who really, needs to start beating Visser to get those valuable championship points, needs to start earning more championship points here. We're on board with Caitlin Wood now, though, trying to make a move here then on Kimmerlein up the inside, as we got this is a flat-out left-hander, indeed, if you're not side-by-side with another driver, and wow, there's the room left on the outside, doesn't matter, job already done then. Caitlin Wood up into P8. You can see that we've actually now got Belen Garcia up to P4. Oh, there's a big contact there. It looks like a car's off the circuit. Caitlin Woods into P6. And, well, as it stands there, Marta Garcia, Visser, Sidokova, Belen Garcia, Cook, Wood. And, well, Marty has made an almighty mistake here, now down to P10. So that was the car that was damaged. It looked like she was missing the front wing of the car. But all of a sudden, Belen Garcia, out of nowhere, is not far behind these drivers.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of carnage coming into the last chicane there. I saw Abby Eaton's car. I saw the side of her car, and she'd been involved in it somehow, so she's dropped down now to 10th. So we're not sure if she's got damage as well. But yeah, up the front, Garcia is now 1.1 seconds in front of Visser. She's doing a sterling job.
Yeah, we've not seen this yet. We've not seen someone be ahead of Visser and actually drive away. Normally, we see Visser pouncing like a shark, as much as Lee hates me saying that. But again, down towards the first chicane here, there's no slipstream to be working with. Marta Garcia's, got the job done, so to speak, so far, and just needs to keep putting in these lap times, qualifying lap times, really, if you're going to beat someone like Visser, and then hope that Sidokova doesn't really close in behind. So it is really now between Marta Garcia and Visser, and potentially here, Billy, we might see our fourth victor in this W Series Esports League.
Yeah, I mean, we know Visser, we know what she's capable of, and the amount of pressure she'll be trying to put on Marta Garcia to make a mistake. This is going to be a real test for Marta Garcia to see how composed she is and how quick she is, because it's going to come down to pace. The minute she's got the gap over Visser to manage that to the end of the race, if she's out of the slipstream, but it's going to be interesting to see whether that's the case, or if Visser closes, how she handles it.
Yeah, but you can't take a circuit like Spa lightly, the smallest lapse of concentration, and it is indeed game over. And around a lot of the circuit, the barriers are very, very close to the exits and the apexes of many corners here as well. But she's doing a fine job as it stands. Sidokova, I'm wondering whether there was some contact between her and Marty, because she hasn't really gaining on Visser at all. She looked really, really quick in the first couple of laps of this race. And actually, if anything, who are we on board here with now? Alice Powell then. So Powell trying to make a move here on Cook to come down through this left-hander where we think the carnage happened on the previous lap then. And well, Alice Powell then has got that move done pretty comprehensively. And I know that there's going to be one person in the commentary box very happy with that, and that's you, Billy.
It's a great move. I'm a racing driver. I'm a fan of great racing. And there's nothing wrong with that pass there from Alice. And I think we actually see Cook go into the pits there, so she may have had a bit of damage.
Yeah, either a bit of damage there or maybe hit the maximum incident points, which indeed is 17 this week here at Spa. And Billy, we were talking before the broadcast about how it's so easy to go off circuit here and gain those incident points. So it's they've been given a little bit more of a buffer, but it looks like maybe Sabra Cook then has indeed hit that limit, which means it might push Agron up. Yeah, it has done. There's Agron moving up a position. I think Neri and Marty may regain a position as well. Schiff potentially. Koyama as well. Koyama in P12 as it stands. But it's all about our race leader then. It is Marta Garcia that leads out here. And well, actually, Visser has now found, pardon the pun, an extra gear here and is closing in that lead. And now it's under that 1 second mark and Slipstream really will take effect.
Yeah, anything under 1 second round Spa, the straights are so long that it's just enough to get into the slipstream. And by the end of the straights, like if she's around that sort of 7/10 mark, that's when she really starts to pull in on Marta Garcia, and we might see some jostling for position. But you know, it's on the fringes at the minute. But Marta Garcia, she needs, like you say, find the extra gear, find that extra bit of pace, which she had in qualifying. She was on pole position, and see how she manages it.
The rear just stepped out there. As we came through the second of the right-handers in the middle sector here, and lost a couple of tenths, or just half a tenth actually, nothing too crazy. But now, like you said, the slipstream will take huge effect right now. And we see Marta Garcia defend for 3-4 laps previously at Brands Hatch. We saw it at Interlagos as well last week. She's only got 6 minutes to do so here, so I'm backing Marta Garcia to go away and take the victory. But Visser is just a different animal completely. We know that when she senses blood, she will indeed take every opportunity possible. Runs a little bit wide there, which is not going to hurt her too much. Actually, might even help maximize the speed, but will indeed get an incident point for that as well. And for people who don't understand the incident points, basically within iRacing, if there's contact between two drivers, they both receive 4 incident points. If you lose control of the car, you get 2 incident points, and if you indeed run off circuit, you get 1 incident points. If you do indeed accrue 17, you will indeed have a stop-go penalty. Or it might be a drive-through penalty, one of the two. You've got to come through the pits. And ultimately, with a sprint race in 50 minutes, if you have to come through the pits, it's for a bad reason, which is not what you want to be doing. So we're on board here then with Visser again. About 1 second, Billy, then. So it looks like Marta Garcia really nailed that final sector on the previous lap. And again, there's not really too much Visser can do along the Kemmel Straight.
It also kind of looked like to me that on the exit of turn 1 there, Marta Garcia may have been using those instant points to her advantage. It looked like she ran a little bit wide on the exit, and rather than being worried about it and trying to keep it on the circuit, she just let it use the tarmac out there, let it run, takes the incident point, and in that scenario, it seems like she may have gained a bit of time on Visser from doing that. So it'd be interesting to see whether Visser copies that on later laps.
Abby Eaton here trying to potentially make a move here, and well, you can see that there's all sorts of shenanigans going on here. Tomaselli, who was actually under pressure from Eaton, has managed to make a move here herself as well. So Koyama loses out a spot here, and Abby Eaton was boxed in there because Koyama was indeed on the outside where Eaton was on the same line, and Tomaselli took full advantage then as they come up towards turn number 1. Eaton there just trying to play with Koyama a little bit there, trying to get into her mirrors, trying to get her thinking about anything else other than braking and accelerating, and well, there you go. That is exactly what Eaton would have wanted to force a mistake. And wow, Koyama, unfortunately, on the power a little bit too early, a little bit of oversteer, rears light up, and it is indeed just touching the wall.
Yeah, that's definitely not a corner you want to make a mistake like that, because it is a solid pit wall on the inside there. So I imagine Koyama's going to have a lot of front wing damage, depending on how she went into the wall there, and that's going to be affecting her for the rest of the race now.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits like we did touch on earlier, Billy. You'll have a little bit more experience than myself, but you know, there's so many fast-flowing corners here where downforce is huge, so any front wing damage is going to cost you so much time.
Yeah, definitely, especially in the middle sector. The middle sector at Spa is such a high-speed committed sector of any. I think it's probably the most of any racetrack I've ever been to be honest. Especially through the likes of Puon, where in a car like this you'll be sort of maybe going down to 5th gear, but you'll be having a small lift on the throttle, barely even touching the brake. It's really high committed stuff, so if you've got any front wing damage, you're just going to lose loads of time through there.
Yeah, so we're on board then with Caitlin Wood. P5, looking to get P4 here. 2 laps to go in our first race here at Spa. God, I love this place. It's been such a spectacle today. Good racing. Again, we've seen a little bit of a carnage, but again, it's more to do with mistakes opposed to drivers taking each other out this week, which is always good. But I tell you what, as much as this is close here, Caitlin Wood battling for P4. Marta Garcia and Visser are only 0.6 of a second apart. We're watching these come through Radion and Eau Rouge, but as we come up towards the first chicane, it looks like Visser is not quite close enough to make a potential move, but it is closing down, Billy, and this is now where, like you always say, points mean prizes. Marta's got to do the hard work now. She's got to try and stay ahead and not really be too worried about hitting, the optimum lines here. It's not about qualifying laps now. It's not about maximising your time. It's about keeping Visser behind you. And well, you can see there the tyre temperatures are starting to struggle here because there's a nice little lock-up there, which Visser, her eyes are going to be lighting up right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the worst situation to see, probably the best actually for Visser, in the fact that she's seeing mistakes now from Marta Garcia at the end of the race. She's seeing those small lockups, especially now she's closed that gap slightly. She knows that Marta Garcia is aware of how close she is to her, and now it's going to be all about pressure. Has got to keep that pressure up now. She's seen a mistake. You can't then give her breathing room again. You've got to really attack now in this middle sector, stay as close as possible, because there's a long straight leading into the last sector as well, so she can maximise that, and on top of that go up the Kemmel straight close. We may see an overtake or being in the midst of it by the end of this lap.
Yeah, Visser has, Marta Garcia, has recovered pretty damn well here. Again, nearly 7 tenths of a second is the advantage over our Esports League standings. Top driver, most points. It is Visser 6 tenths behind. But again, the final sector seems to be where Marta Garcia is indeed, very fast around the final chicane here, the bus stop chicane. And we will indeed see that actually Visser is closing up here. So we might see a last lap dash here. Again, not really, for me, close enough. If they go along the Kemmel Straight this far apart, I think Marta Garcia might be okay. Silokova, again, not really able to put any pressure on, but is in P3 as it stands. Wood then is in P4. Ben and Garcia lost out to Wood then, and they both run wide there. So Marta Garcia will take the incident point, as well as Beitska Visser. Visser was more of a mistake, I think, there. And, Marta, she is looking into a rear view mirror. She'll be very, very happy with what she's just seen.
Yeah, I mean, Visser's been aware that Marta Garcia's made that sort of mistake and ran a little bit wide there a few times, and it looked like she just got maybe a little bit sidetracked with focusing on what Marta Garcia was doing rather than what she was doing. Slight lock up, maybe run a little bit wide, and you can see the gap still about 6.5 tenths at the minute. And to be honest, I think looking and judging off the slipstream here, it's probably you're going to be needing to be sort of half as behind to really get that effect. It looks like she's still gaining a little bit, but it's definitely not enough to challenge Marta Garcia at the minute. And I've got to say, this has been a near perfect drive here from Marta Garcia. We've only seen a few little mistakes, but when you've got the likes of Visser behind you, you're going to expect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Visser has been so dominant as well. It's not just a case of she's qualified well in our 2 races where we do have qualifying. It's the fact that she's able to get through the pack. Her overtaking ability is unrivaled, second to none in this championship as it stands. But Marta Garcia doing enough right now. But again, we're coming up towards then that final sector where indeed it's very fast, slipstream dependent. If you are behind a car or if you're close enough to a car, and you can see the Visser here is trying to set herself up for potentially making a move towards that bus stop here. But will we see Marta Garcia then hold on and become our 4th winner in this W Series Esports League? But it's going to be very, very close here. Visser is indeed in that slipstream as they come up towards this double left-hander. It is flat out as well. They both be going through there flat out, and Visser takes a very nice line through there. Marta Garcia, though, a little bit real reserved, and you can see it is indeed closing down. And I don't think this is quite close enough here. How good can she be on the brakes? We know Marta Garcia is very good on the brakes. And wow, it's a very late move up the inside here. Marta Garcia is just about going to hang on. And wow, Visser nearly took it on the final lap. But it will be Marta Garcia that takes the victory here. Visser will finish in 2nd and Sidorkova in 3rd. Wow, that was so mighty close there. But it is going to be Marta Garcia who gets it done. Superb stuff there on the final lap. And wow, it didn't look like it was on Billy, but she gave it a go and she nearly pulled it off.
I honestly did not expect Visser to make an attempt at an overtake right there. With it being sort of like 5-6 tenths, I don't think that I've ever seen someone go for a move like that for a long time into the last chicane. And she really attacked on the brakes, dive bombed Marta Garcia. Marta Garcia showed great awareness, to be fair to her, in the sense that she left a little bit of space there for Visser. She didn't close the door and end up there seeing a bit of unnecessary contact. It was respectful racing, but if that move had come off, that would have been sensational.
Here we go then, race number 2, round 5 of the W Series Esports League. And if the end of race number 1 was anything to go by, we're in for an absolute treat. Of course, it's what everyone looks forward to. It is a reverse grid, and this is where anything goes, and invariably it does. And while it's Pepper on pole position, well, she's going to lead out in towards turn number 1. And I think Kiyama was in P2 momentarily there, but just didn't get a great start. And there's the carnage we see around turn number 1. We've got cars taking very, very different lines there as we come up then towards Radion and Eau Rouge for the first time. But Pepper has got an absolute stalwart start. Hawkins is in second. Tomaselli in third position. Marty is in fourth. Schiff up to P. Well, it's a big mistake there actually by our race leader. So Pepper nearly binning it actually. And, well, no, just holds on. Still in pretty good shape. Visser, P14. Normally by this point she is near the lead of the race. So not quite worked out as well as it normally has. And everyone's got through nice and cleanly. Look at this though. Almost 3 wide then. Down in towards then the first chicane here. We're on board with Agrin. Moves from P9 to P8. And won't be able to make any more positions. Oh, unless there's a mistake in front there. Not quite able to work out where Eaton was going to be going there. But Eaton actually sorts himself out really, really well. And actually looking to move forward here. And does move forward. Eaton then gets ahead of Tomaselli. And Agrin maybe going to try and follow through here as well. Not quite. Although Tomaselli runs a little bit wide here. Eaton, a little bit too much curb there on the inside as well. As we come then through No Name. Oh, big contact then. Agrin. Looks like Agrin has had contact with, I'm not too sure who that was. Abby Eaton, though, back on board with her. Uses the slipstream here down in towards Puon for the very first time here in race number 2. Well, Eaton not able to go forward here. And again, a missed apex there by Tomaselli. It's going to open up the door then. And Eaton is going to kick through with both feet and say thank you very much. And up to P6 here. Let's have a look then at the leaders. And Visser is P17, Billy. So it's for the first time here going very, very wrong.
Yeah, she's really not made that much progress by the looks of things. And I mean, with Errol,
she's out. She's out the race, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I think Visser is out of the race here. She towed, so this could be the first time she does not score any points here. And well, this makes a huge difference then for the championship running. Of course, Sidorkova with a big opportunity to try and indeed eat away at that championship lead. And well, Marta Garcia as well. Marta Garcia in 10th and Sidorkova up into P9 then. So they're already up into that top 10. Sorry to cut you off there, Billy, but yeah, Visser is out of this race. And well, this is taking a huge turn.
Yeah, it really is. We saw a lot of incidents there at turn 1, so it wouldn't surprise me if coming through the field she maybe just got caught up in one. But to be fair, if it was enough for her to be out of the race, it must have been quite a significant incident we missed. Yeah,
it's not how you want to see people indeed not score points here. So Visser looks like it's going to be the first time as well. And more than likely, it was just a bit of contact at the start of the race, and it's made all of the difference here. Of course, there's still a race, a third race, the feature race, to indeed make up those shortcomings in this one. But right now, we're on board then with Sidorkova. Big opportunity here. I'll tell you what, let's talk about Pepper a little bit. Pepper, who didn't have the greatest of exits at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion, and made a bit of a mistake. Looked like she might be ending her race very, very quickly. Is actually in the lead still by 1.3 seconds and doing a very, very good job indeed here. Hawkins is in P2. Neria Marty then, who was fighting at the lead, remember, in the first race, Billy, before there was a bit of contact. We're not too sure whether it was between her and Sidorkova. But Marty is going to be a huge danger in this race for sure.
Yeah, we saw Tasman had great pace in qualifying as well. So we know she's quick. She's had a lot of potential. She's now in a position being first in the race by such a gap. Oh, we've got a little overtake going on down into the hairpin there. Who was that between?
Naomi Garcia and Naomi Schiff. The Spaniards are all over Spa today. So yeah, trying to make a move then on Naomi Schiff, and Schiff indeed holds on to that position. Nice work there. Well, actually, we see as we say that, she loses a spot. So Bella Garcia moves up to P6. Now we've got Eaton in behind as well. Tried to make a move as well, and well, squeezed off there. There's no love lost there at all, and comes back on circuit. Almost a bit of contact between the two drivers then. As they, there is contact between the two drivers. And, well, that is really not what you want to see there. And actually, it was Sidorkova. So, sorry, it wasn't Eaton. It was Sidorkova that has got involved there with Naomi Schiff. And, yeah, I think that could have been avoided there. I think Sidorkova needed to get off the gas pedal and live to fight another day. Whether she's got damage to the car or not, I'm not too sure. But it's Schiff, really, who's unfortunately been on the receiving end there of something, again, like I said, could be avoided.
Yeah, I mean, for Sidorkova as well, she's got to realise that these are the opportunities that don't come round very often for her, where you've got the likes of Visser, who's right down the back of the order. This is going to be some great points for her, but getting involved in incidents sort of like that is not the way to do it. You want to be focusing on going forward and making progress.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Tomaselli and Wood there swapping positions twice. But as it stands, then it's still Pepper. And you said Pepper showed some serious pace in qualifying. And again, she's gone under the radar this series. This is very much similar to the Marta Garcia story. She is in that top 5 because she's consistently fast. It's only going to be a matter of time before we do indeed see her get a race victory. I've gone on record to say that before this esports series season is out, we're going to have between 8, 9 or 10 race winners. And well, potentially we're going to have another new race winner here today, whether it will be Pepper, Hawkins, Neria Marti, Powell, Eaton, Belen Garcia. The top 6 here, none of them have got a race victory yet. So we could potentially see then our second new race winner of the day. And like I said to you at the start of this broadcast, Billy, Spa always brings up surprises, and it's no different today.
It really does, and a reverse grid race around Spa. Now that really brings some action, and we've seen that on the first few laps. It's starting to settle down a little bit now. Marta Garcia's done a great job from being P17 up to 7th. This is another, especially with Visser being down the order, this is a great chance for her to start clawing some points back. So she's been really consistent so far. Yeah.
Absolutely. She's in behind Belen Garcia, another Spaniard. Again, it's been a day of the Spaniards. Currently in the top 7, 3 of them are there, but 3 Brits as well. But it's neither of them that leads the race. It is Tasman Pepper from South Africa doing a very good job indeed. We're on board there with Wood in behind... we're on board with Sarah Moore. So Sarah Moore then is in behind Naomi Schiff. And can Moore get the pass done? Doesn't look like... big contact between the two again here. And we're seeing again, Billy, race 2 is very scrappy indeed. It's kind of... drivers starting out of position and maybe getting a little bit too excited, thinking they're going to get a huge result and maybe overdriving ever so slightly.
Yeah, and I think as well we're seeing some of these drivers that are at the front who've maybe picked up a bit of damage on lap 1, but are trying to fend off and keep their positions as well, keep as many points as possible. Obviously, this is a great chance for them, it being a full point reverse grid race, to really claw back some points, and they don't want to easily. And sometimes incidents like that when both drivers don't want to give up any room or position.
Well, Marty there, Neria Marti, very late on the brakes here, really has closed in then on Jessica Hawkins, who's in P2 as it stands. And well, they've got Alice Powell then in behind them in P4 as they come up towards turn number 1 here. 7 minutes 45 seconds left of this race. And well, the battle for P2 is heating up then as we go for the old switchback. The oldest trick in the book, and Neria Marti has got the textbook. She has written the textbook, and she is indeed delivered. P2 then for Neria Marti. Powell, though, moves up as well. So Hawkins, making one mistake, loses 2 positions.
That's what you get with Spa. It's the train effect. Everyone's following closely, all slipstreaming each other. You make a mistake, you instantly become vulnerable to the person behind them as they're getting dragged along, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing Powell now actually being fairly close to the back of Marti here, maybe putting a bit of pressure on her.
Yeah, well, Alice Powell, Marti, Hawkins, they've all, again, last week I spoke about, they've all showed a moment of brilliance so far. Every driver has shown a moment of brilliance, but none of them, none of them, only 3 of them have really been able to string it together for a race-long period of time to get that race victory. But now we're starting to see the consistency is there. Marti now, can she close in on Pepper? That's going to be the interesting factor here. But Pepper's going to be looking at the relative delta on her timesheet, and it's going to be thinking, they're pretty close behind me, so that means they're battling, which is going to make her job a lot easier.
Yeah, as soon as they start battling, I mean, Tasman Pepper's already got a 3.2 second lead now. So for me, I think she's fairly safe. I mean, if she'd been sort of qualifying, been in this position because she was slow in qualifying and that was her natural pace, then maybe the gap could be sort of pulled back in 3 laps. But with it being 3.2 seconds and her having the pace she's got, I see it being a fairly straightforward run to a flag now for Tasman Pepper.
Yeah, she's only extending that lead right now. And again, it was only a matter of time before Tasman Pepper did indeed take a race victory. She's been incredibly consistent across this whole esports series thus far. Marta Garcia then, winner from race number 1 here today at Spa. It's 7th position right now. So, the day that Visser has a bad day, all the other drivers, the title protagonists, as we say, Marta Garcia, Sidorkova, aren't having the greatest of time themselves. Looks like Alice Powell, by the way, is up to P2. So it looks like Marty's lost out here. I'm not too sure whether there was potential incident there, but Marty was quite far ahead of Alice Powell, so I think Alice Powell may have taken a page out of Visser's braking book into the bus stop and had a real late lunge there, and well, into P2. Again, this is only going to help Tasmin Pepper. She's not going to be too worried about what they're up to behind her. She's just going to continue to nurse that gap there. 3.3 seconds, beautifully done so far, but the battle for P2, P3, and P4 is, well, really ripe at this point. Marta Garcia, though, is closing in on Belen Garcia. So will Marta be able to get the move done here for P6? Again, all points count in these races. So up down towards P15, and Visser is actually in P15 now. So it looks like she's got a car fix and she's back out there. So she is starting to indeed damage limitation time. Great gain, a couple of points. Again, a couple of points is better than 0 points. Belen Garcia makes this very easy then for Marta Garcia. So Marta moves up then into P6, but look at this, Neria Marti, another Spaniard. So many Spaniards doing well today, which is really good to see, in behind Alice Powell. So Powell not able to drive away here, and again, this is only aiding Tasmin Pepper. With 4 minutes to go, looks like the South African may be able to take her first victory in this series. But look how close it is, Billy. We've got Powell then, who is 3.7 seconds behind Pepper. Marty's only 6/10 behind Powell, and then we've got Hawkins, who's only 4/10 behind Marty. And we know these drivers, if there's an opportunity, if the door's left open, they will seize that opportunity.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll see any sort of help between the Brits. I mean, Alice is obviously going to be out there for herself, but with Hawkins maybe having a potential of a podium, we might see some tactics. Maybe Alice will back them up into the chicane and try and cause a bit of carnage behind so she can get a gap. It's going to be interesting to see how she plays this, or if she just tries to extend that gap. She's nearly there, to be honest, at the minute. She's extended that out to 8/10, so to be honest, looking off of that, I think she may just be away from having any sort of Marty attack coming in the next few minutes.
And I'm called the cynical one. Yeah, okay, I see how it is. Sinokova, though, making a move here then on Belen Garcia up to P7. And I didn't want to say it, but Belen Garcia made it very easy for Marta Garcia. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying with the Brits, but I think we've seen it already with the Spaniards. But that's just me and you, Billy. Again, our cynical ways. As it stands, though, it's still Pepper in the lead. Just still 3.3 seconds, doing a very good job here. And we're on board then with Hawkins, trying to make a move here on Marty for that podium position. Going for the switchback once again. We're seeing this around turn 1. They're able to run quite wide there. Again, taking full advantage of maybe getting that 1 incident point every single lap. Again, they're only doing around about 7 laps a race here, so 7 instant points is not the 17 required to get a stop-go penalty. But look at this. We've got then Marty and Hawkins. Hawkins as well. Very close there underneath that rear wing as they come onto the Camel Straight. And actually, probably a little bit too close there, Billy, to make a potential move off the top of the hill.
Yeah, you need to, with the slipstream round here, you really want to time it right so that you don't lose any momentum as you come up the hill for Eau Rouge. You really want to time that slipstream right, and it looked like she just got there too soon, and then you lose that momentum to make the pass, and she kind of just sat stationary behind Marty, and she's still close. There's still time on the clock. The move can be done, but for Jess Hawkins, it's not to be right now.
Yeah, 1.5 laps remains of this race, and again, Hawkins has dropped back and now under pressure here from Abby Eaton. So Eaton then in P5, closing in, and actually she is closer to Hawkins than Hawkins is to Marty. So Marty's done a great job there. Again, like you said, you've got to go. It's a strange thing to say in racing, but sometimes you've got to go slow to go fast. But yeah, she's just a little bit too close there, lost too much momentum, and lost all of the toe, indeed, up towards the first chicane. Pepper, though, lost a couple of tenths here, Billy, but you know, she's probably just managing the time now, managing her lap time, taking a bit off. But also, that can breed mistakes if you do take your eye off the ball.
Yeah, it can. She has to be wary with it. But I mean, if it was a normal circuit and she's given away a few tenths a lap, I'd say that's fairly normal. The fact it's Spa and it's this long of a lap, and it's only a few tenths she's giving up to Alice Powell, she's probably not even doing that on purpose, like without even realising. It's probably that extra 1 or 2% that you just, as a racing driver, your natural instinct is to push that limit. But she obviously is aware that this is her race for the taking, and she doesn't need to make any silly mistakes.
Let's talk about nerves in this situation, Billy. Of course, all of these race drivers have had victories in multiple series in their careers, you know, through karts up to whatever formula they've been racing in. But this is a whole new, you know, experience being in sim racing. It is an official W Series championship. So you know, will there be a little bit of nerves with Tasmin? Like, you know, there's a lot of people watching, a lot of her fans are watching, and she's got a really, really cool, big fan base as well. Will there be some nerves creeping in?
There may well be, to be honest. I think it's just adrenaline, really. As a racing driver, you just want to do your best, and it's that competitive side of nature you have to never sort of want to make any mistakes or anything like that. But if you start thinking normally about making mistakes, that normally breeds mistakes. And we've seen some action here now, and I think that's Abby Eaton making a position up on Jess Hawkins, and she's going to go around the outside here. That'd be an impressive opening.
Hawkins is in, well, on the inside there. Marta Garcia decides not to get involved here. And wow, Eaton has gone around the outside there. You're right, Billy. That's a huge move there. Very committed, left the room on the inside as well. So there was no contact between the two drivers. And well, Marta Garcia was the one who really set herself up there. And Hawkins made it very difficult for her to make the pass there. It's very tough to go 3 wide. It is possible at the Camel Straight, but I think Marta Garcia has used her experience there more than anything. And just got out of the way and thought, I'll let you two crack on. And hoping that there would maybe some sort of contact, but it wasn't. And indeed, it will be Abby Eaton up into P4. But Neri and Marty, by the way, they were battling for position for P3 earlier in this race. Unfortunately, for Eaton, Marty is now 1.4 seconds ahead of her. Marta Garcia, by the way, has just got Jessica Hawkins, so she's up into that top 5. Don't worry about them because it's all about the South African here. Tasmin Pepper, who's been very, very good all season long. Very, very committed. Has been very, very consistent, but flown under the radar. No real standout performances, no real standout top 2s, top 3s that are notable. But today, so dominant from start to finish as we come then towards that bus stop chicane for the final time. Just one more braking zone to indeed negotiate to pick up her first victory, and it will be our second new victor of the week as well, which is awesome to see as we come then through the bus stop chicane. Tasmin Pepper, again, taking a bit of that time off here. You can tell it's now nearly under 2 seconds, but it doesn't matter. She comes across the line, and well, race 2, round 5 here at Spa. Tasmin Pepper will take the checkered flag. In second position then is Alice Powell, and then in third it will be Neria Marty.
That was a great race there. It's good to see some new people up the front. Alice Powell P2, Marty P3, Pepper P1. That's a great result for her, and like you say, she's been consistent over the series so far, and we've seen glimpses of great results. So the fact she's managed to put a whole race together now and get the job done is a great achievement for her.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of drivers now really starting to hook it up all race long. So I think, we're actually going to be hitting the midway point of this esports series at the end of today. So what's the next 5 rounds going to have in store for us? Because we're now starting to see multiple race winners. We saw a mistake here from Visser today as well. So again, I keep mentioning the same phrase, but there's a chink in the armor. As much as she's been so dominant, now people are taking full advantage. It's not as easy to go from the back of the grid as it was in the first few rounds of this Esports Series League. So it's going to become more and more difficult to indeed get those top 3 results, race 1, race 2, and race 3. But like you said there, Billy, Tasmin Pepper, she gets the victory. And well, what a victory it was. I can't wait for race 3. I think race 3 is going to be an absolute cracker. But before we head to race number 3, let's join Lee, who's with our podium sitter, Neria Marty.
Neria, lovely to see you. It's been good for you tonight. You qualified well in race 1 in 3rd. Race 2, you went from 9th to 3rd and got your first podium. You must be pleased.
I'm very happy with the races because I'm back on the podium. So now I will do my best for next race.
Well, it's great to hear from Nerea because I know during lockdown, she's not just been trying to improve her English, she's actually been learning English. So it's wonderful just to get even a short interview with her. Now, though, let's take a look at our leaderboard. So after 2 races, this is how the drivers' points leaderboard is looking. A slightly odd race too, and we'll come on to that with the guys in just a moment. But Weitske Visser still has the lead in the championship, as you would expect. She got a point in race 2, and she has had the 2 fastest laps as well, 233 points. And Irina Sidorkova, well, again, we will need to speak to the guys about this because she didn't seize the opportunity as she might have hoped in race 2, but there she is, still in second, 186 points. Marta Garcia, who's continuing a really decent run, 160 points. My goodness, she has flourished over the last 2 weeks, and great to have our 4th winner after race 1, our 4th new winner. But then who would have thought we would have had our 5th winner after race 2 in Tasman Pepper. Alice Powell, a great run onto the podium there in race 2. Nerea Marty, good to hear from her. Jess Hawkins, Emma Kimalainen and Ayla Agren round out the top 10. Guys, let's just talk about race 2 before we talk about race 1, which is slightly odd because, Luke, I think it was you who referenced it. You've got to be there to take the opportunities. Bajtska Visser didn't win the first race. She ended up finishing 15th in that second race, but Arina Sidorkova did not seize that opportunity.
No, Sidorkova did not seize the opportunity, and neither did Marta Garcia. But let's not take away from Tasman Pepper. She's the one we need to be talking about right now. Like, start to finish, got a great start, made a little bit of an error at the top of Eau Rouge, but didn't let it phase her, and then just controlled the race from start to finish. So, like you just said, Lee, a 5th winner. Everybody's starting to improve. This esports series is really starting to light up, and I couldn't be any happier. I'm smiling like ear to ear. It's going to be so exciting moving forward.
And it has been 2 slightly strange races in many ways, Billy. Race 1 was pretty quiet for much of it. The top 3 didn't look like changing after the first lap, and they certainly didn't. And then we had that, not last-minute lunge, last-second lunge from Bajtska Visser and Marta Garcia.
Yeah, race 1, it sort of... it started to separate out a little bit, the grid, and there was sort of half-second to a second gaps between the drivers. So we didn't see too much action. But yeah, Visser, that last lap, last corner lunge, I don't think Marta Garcia was expecting it. I don't even think Visser really knew that she was going to commit to it until right before they got to the braking zone. And it nearly came off her. And I mean, if she pulled that off, it would probably have been one of the best moves I've seen in a sim race for a long time. So that shows you the standard of these drivers, how capable they are, that they're able to nearly pull off overtakes like that.
Look, at the beginning of this programme, we were talking about 15 races, 3 winners. Now suddenly we're talking about 17 racers, 5 winners. Are we going to get another new winner, do you think, in race 3?
Hard to really tell because Visser is so dominant from the front. We've seen her be incredible coming through the pack, and ultimately at least one time it wasn't going to work out. Just the nature of race 2 has been a little bit messy. We know this. We can't hide away from that fact. So I still feel like Visser's going in as favourite, but Marta Garcia has proven that she can lead a race from start to finish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Pepper now with that newfound confidence, finally getting that huge result, maybe right up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, somebody who has been very much at the heart of the action over the last 5 weeks of the W Series Esports League is Naomi Schiff, and we can find out a bit more about her now.
Oh, putting in a very good shift.
Right now?
Yeah.
Is my hair okay? Thank you.
But that is sensational.
My name is Naomi Schiff. I would describe myself a little out of the box, not exactly what most people expect. A little aggressive, but I'm a hard worker and a lot of fun. Racing is my life. I've been racing since I was 11, and basically it's a huge part of my identity.
Visser again showing the dominance here.
I raced against Bajtska in karting when I was, 13 years old, something like that, quite young. And from then it was pretty clear that she's really talented.
Would be getting better and better and better.
I know Caitlin really well. She lived with me for almost 2 years. We shared an apartment. She's like a sister to me, and we're definitely going to be sizing each other up, and may the best woman win.
Welcome to W Series.
As soon as I heard of it, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Obviously, there's that one point that we don't have to bring any budgets, which makes it accessible to us. But also, I think, bring our names forwards in motorsports and give us a good chance to move forward.
Naomi Schiff leads the way.
My father did used to be a racing driver. I never start the story when people ask me how I got into racing by saying that, because I think it's a misconception that most people think that if your father raced, he kind of pushed you into that direction, which wasn't the case at all. He played the role of not turning me down and saying, absolutely, let's do it. And I can't thank him enough for where I am today.
Well, Naomi, great to see you. How much have you been enjoying the W Series Esports League? Because it's all been a bit of a surprise for 2020.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, earlier this year, we had no idea what would happen really with the state due to COVID-19. But I've really been enjoying the W Series Esports League because, you know, it gives us something to do, and it keeps us sharp. You know, when we get back in a car now, we would be more prepared than we would have probably been if we had no driving at all right now. So there's that, and then there's the social aspect of it, you know, talking to the drivers and maybe doing some coaching with some other drivers. So in general, it's been a good adventure.
Now, I introduced this by saying that you had been at the heart of the action of W Series Esports. I mean, there have been some real highs, like last week at Brands Hatch, and then Interlagos, and then there have been some lows as well. But I suppose that is the nature of e-racing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely been an emotional roller coaster for me. I think I started off being, you know, slightly cautious. That didn't really work for me. So I tried the attempt of being, you know, overly aggressive, and that didn't work. So right now I'm still sort of trying to find the balance, but it's definitely made for some really interesting racing. Sometimes not great, but other times really good. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great to watch as well. Thanks so much, Naomi. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
It's always great to hear from Naomi. But now, though, it's time for qualifying for race 3, our final race of the night. So let's rejoin Billy and Luke.
Race 3 of round 5 of the W Series Esports League here at Spa. We've had 2 races, 2 incredible races, 2 new race winners, and we're on board then with race winner from race number 2, and that is Tasmin Pepper. But we've already got a few times posted here. Marta Garcia, once again, on the front row of the grid, but we've got a second driver there, which is Sidorkova. So those 2 drivers we were speaking earlier, Billy, about them not really taking the opportunity that was presented to them where Visser made that mistake, or Visser, we're not too sure actually what happened with Visser, me and you, but yeah, Visser obviously didn't finish with great points in the second race. They didn't take full advantage, so she's still got such a huge championship lead, but they're on the front row here, so they're trying to make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, Marta Garcia was probably made the best of the situation as much as possible. I mean, coming from 17th to 5th, that wasn't the end of the world, considering Visser had such a poor result, and obviously her winning race 1 as well. I think she's had 2 fairly strong races, and the fact she's on pole again at the minute with only just under 4 minutes left on the clock, she is doing a good job, but we know Visser can come back strong. She hasn't posted a lap time yet, so it'd be quite interesting to see how she sort of ranks amongst Garcia, Sidorkova, and the race 2 winner, Tasmin Pepper.
Yeah, the importance of getting a banker time around such a track like Spa is huge, and the fact that Visser hasn't got one in yet and wasn't able to get pole position in race number 1 is a little bit alarming for me. But she's got the fastest lap twice in the race, so we know she's got the pace here. But again, not yet got that lap time in. And again, it might be in a validation, like you said earlier on, Billy, around Spa. It's so easy to go off of those track limits.
Yeah, it really is. I've done a lot of sim races here over during quarantine, and there's multiple places on the track where there's that sort of grasscrete material that in real life we'd be using, but on the sim, in the sim world, it gives you an incident point for it, and in qualifying, 1 incident point completely takes your lap away, so you have to be so careful and so on the ball with everything.
Visser has put it up onto the front row of the grid then with her first banker time. But it is still Marta Garcia then on pole position. Agron, by the way, up into P4. Alice Powell we're on board with right now. And, well, hasn't yet got a time in, unfortunately. Caitlin Wood then up to P6 by the looks of things as well. But it is Marta Garcia, Visser and Sidorkova, the top 3. That was the top 3 from race 1 as well. So it's going to qualifying form here. Pepper, a danger though here today. P5, right at the sharp end once again. I think she qualified P4 in race number 1. But with that newfound confidence of a race victory in race 2, is there an opportunity for Pepper to potentially spoil the party of the front runners?
Yeah, I mean, winning a race, especially in something like this where you go straight into race 3, the confidence will be running high. She knows what she's capable of doing. So I don't see any reason why she can't challenge these front competitors right now, whether that's in qualifying or whether it comes down to her race performances and maybe she gains some positions during the race. We'll have to wait and see. There's still about, I think qualifying in for the first race of the second bar was a 2:19.4 as the pole time, so there's still a little bit of time left in the bank. Only about a tenth of a second Garcia slower than she was earlier, so we could see some improvements in the last minute and a half.
Yeah, very close, but it was 0.6 of a second separating the front 3 from race 1, but it's 0.6 of a second separating the front 6 now. So again, we call it the feature race. The third race is a little bit longer, 5 minutes longer in terms of race time. Qualifying is still only 10 minutes long. And normally, race 3 is an absolute cracker, Billy. And if qualifying is anything to go by, we're going to be in for that show once again, as long as they manage to keep it clean, especially up along that Kemmel straight, of course, with all that slipstream and all the bottlenecking of, indeed, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Yeah,
I mean, keeping it clean is definitely important, but I mean, on the other side of things, there's another 5 minutes to make up for any mistakes. So I guess the risk-taking element, you've got a bit more opportunity to make up for any mistakes you make from taking risks. And we've seen Visser go for a crazy overtaking to this corner where we're following Alice Powell right now, the last corner of the circuit. So I feel like if you're going to see any special overtakes, it's going to be in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Visser, if she's behind anybody during this race with the bus stop to go within half a second, they are going to be very wary of the braking from her. Alice Powell does go P7 then, considering she wasn't able to get a banker time in early. That was a very pressurized lap, so P7 is a very strong finish indeed for my money. But it is going to be Marta Garcia again on pole position. Visser is in second, and Sidorkova will be in third. But can Marta Garcia get that start again? So we've seen it week after week, actually. The only real weakness of Visser is getting off the line. Just seems to struggle with this car, indeed, with the starts. Marta Garcia, quite the opposite, manages to get off the line nice and quickly. But Sidorkova needs to be wary of this and try and get ahead of Visser as soon as possible. They weren't able to take advantage in race number 2, really. Of course, they had semi-good finishes, Visser not having a good finish at all. But it's vital that they both, Marta Garcia and Sidorkova, get a very good start here, Billy.
Yeah, we've seen Marta Garcia. She's capable of getting good starts. We've seen her take the leads at the start of races. Lucky for us, we saw finally in race 1 her deliver a whole race where she led from start to finish. She did a great job. She's on pole position again, so the sort of her ability to withstand the pressure seems to have held up. And let's see how she gets on now.
Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen. It is race 3 of round 5, and we do go green. And it looks like Kymmelainen's not got off the line there. Bit of contact then between Kymmelainen, and I'm not too sure who else that was there. Might have been Koyama. But Marta Garcia has got an absolute fly here and does indeed take the lead here. Is Sidorkova up the inside enough? No. So Visser does indeed hold on to P2. A few cars there running off wide. Looks like at the back there we've got Sabra Cook then, who's made a mistake as well. But as we head then up the long hill towards that Kemmel straight, is Marta Garcia far enough ahead here? Sidorkova not really going to be able to put the pressure on to Visser, not quite close enough. But look at this then, we're on board with Isla Agren, and she is very, very close indeed, but it's a double toe for her, so she might be able to pick up 2 positions. Sidorkova then goes defensive very early, makes it obvious that she's going to go defensive. I think we might have a change for the lead as well. Visser is actually going to go round the outside here. Marta Garcia just about holds on. Sidorkova holds on as well. Very late on the brakes, they're very aggressive on the brakes, and Agren, well, Agren didn't really have much choice there, but just sit back, watch, relax, and hope that there was a little bit of carnage there. But all the front 5 get through nicely. They're going to train in behind then as well as they come down into the left hand. A little bit of contact there. Tasmin Pepper just receiving a bit of contact there from Agren by the looks of things. Then we've got Alice Powell in P6, up 1 position. Marty is in P7. Hawkins 8th, 9th. Then for more, Wood is in that top 10. But as it stands, Billy, Marta Garcia has done it again. She leads the way here on lap number 1, but it's only by a mere 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, she did a great job again. She defended her line very well, didn't outbrake herself into Lescom at the top of the hill. And yeah, it's just very composed driving. It's something that we've not seen from her enough this series so far, is what's cost her points. But at the minute, it's not costing her points at all, because she's led race 1 from start to finish. She's now in the lead of race 3 as well.
Yeah, she is in the lead. She's doing a very stellar job indeed. And actually, I think they're Powell having a little potential move here on Agren. So can Powell get the job done? Not quite here. There we go. There's Alice Powell then around the outside. And Agren again just about holding on. No, Agren's on the inside there. So Powell not able to get around then the Norwegian driver. Still in P6 then. We've got a bit of movement in the background there. Wood and Eaton having a bit of argy-bargy by the looks of things as well. Down and towards then the bus stop chicane here. Last of the late breakers here. And oh dear, that's never going to end well. That was a very late dive there. And poor Alice is unfortunately being involved there by the looks of things. And trying to think who that was there. Was that Marty? Was that Neria Marty then, who went very deep on the brakes and has cost Powell? I think Powell's going to end up near the back of the grid order here. And yeah, down into towards the bus stop chicane. We saw Visser successfully get on the brakes late there. And well, Marty's tried to do it. Didn't quite go as well.
Yeah, she just outbraked herself. I mean, when you're in a train like that as well, it's a characteristic of the last chicane at Spa, with the line you take of being such a sort of a cut-back line through the first part of that last chicane, that it's okay if you overtake one person, but if there's someone in front of that and they're turning into the corner, it's so easy to make the move and then accidentally hit the person in front of them by accident. So it's different when you're just behind one person compared to being in the train here at Spa.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there Marty and Hawkins was under pressure then from Eaton as well. Eaton now has made that move there with the lockup from Hawkins. Belen Garcia also gets up into P9. The lead, though, is still Marta Garcia from Vissa. Sidorkova then 1.1 second behind both of those drivers. But again, that move we just saw there into the bus stop chicane, it was telegraphed. We knew it wasn't going to end well there. With Vissa, it was on the edge, but there was every chance she was going to make the apex in race number 1, and she duly did do that. But from the offset there, we knew that there was going to be a bit of contact, and there was.
Yeah, it's a difficult braking zone to judge. Obviously, you have your marker board that you kind of use on the outside, whether that's the 100 meter, 50 meter that you get your reference from. And it's quite a wide entry into that last chicane there. So sometimes when you're diving right up the inside of someone, it can be really hard to judge your braking point. They obviously see you up the inside of them and maybe brake a bit later than usual. When all you're going off as a reference is the person you're trying to outbrake. So it kind of becomes a bit of sort of cat and mouse sort of thing, and eventually in that scenario it looked like they both sort of, the person on the outside braked too late, and then the person on the inside who's making the maneuver did even more late braking, and it didn't pay off.
Naomi Marty and Schiff here then having a little bit of argy-bargy themselves, and well, Schiff is gone all the way around the outside. That is a huge overtake there from Schiff, and Marty then on the brakes as late as possible, not able to indeed get that position back, and that was superb there. Again, a little bit aggressive from both drivers, but well, Schiff, superb stuff then. Up to that top 6. Next up then for her would be more. Let's check out then the race leaders. Bajtska Vissa we're on board with then in P2. You can see Marta Garcia doing a relatively good job here. Sidorkova then in P3. We'll be hoping that these two maybe start battling with each other, just like what happened at Brands Hatch, which gave Sidorkova the opportunity to indeed take the lead and take the victory there in race 3 a couple of weeks ago. But then we've got Pepper in P4. So Pepper will be hoping that they all close up, and there's an opportunity then to also maybe take another victory in this esports series. And it is, apart from Kimmerleinen, who's unfortunately a lap down right now, the top 4 are 4 race winners. So we're starting to really see then who are the real quick drivers, the consistent drivers week in, week out. Naomi Marty then trying, to retake the position then on Schiff. And it looks like Naomi Marty moves back up into what would be P6. So Schiff moves down into P7, and Abby Eaton will be hoping that these two keep duking out for position so she can close up and potentially get involved here as well. Looks like Koyama has just made a move then after having an abysmal start here up to P11. So she's coming through the pack nicely. Cook is in P12. She's coming back through as well. She was facing the wrong way out of the turn number 1. And now P12. You've got to appreciate that. But it is, again, Marta Garcia versus Vissa. Those two are the leaders here. Marta looking to potentially take a second race victory. Marty tried to drive away here as quickly as possible, and actually back ahead then of Schiff, as you can see. So can Marty potentially close in on Moore? Moore's going to be, 2.4 seconds behind Pepper? So it looks like the front 4 have pretty much got away here, Billy, but they're all pretty spaced out here, so it looks like there may not be that 4-way battle that we would hope for. It's a long race, still 13 minutes to go, and anything can indeed happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. I mean, if anyone's at risk, it's Sarah Moore. Being 2.9 seconds behind Tasman Pepper in P4, she has got no slipstream effect, and she has really no real reference to chase, and that makes Marty's mission of trying to claw down that 1.1 second gap a little bit easier, rather than if she was getting dragged along in the slipstream by Tasman Pepper. It does look like the front 4 are they're in a bit of a race of their own, although it is separating out a little bit. But I'm sure as soon as one of them closes on the other, if they make a mistake and there's any battling, the 4 of them will just come together pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, for sure. Marta Garcia has just taken another couple of tenths then out of Vissa as we, now 3 tenths of a second. So it's 1.1 seconds the advantage here. Vissa actually maybe dropping back here into the Russians' clutches. Sidorkova currently is in P3, but again, 2.1 seconds behind, so there's going to be no slipstream to work with. Pepper again in a very similar boat here. Schiff, though, not able to close up to Marty, but looks like Marty is very close then into the bus stop, but as they come then along the Camel Straight. Looks like Marty's got an extra bit of speed here, and actually it's Abby Eaton that's looking to potentially get a move here done on Schiff. Schiff then goes defensive very early here, and Eaton now is going to take the slipstream of Marty. Schiff then comes across there just before the braking zone to cover off any potential move from Eaton. And Eaton, well, she's going to have to wait. She's got to be patient here if she wants to indeed get up into the top 7. But Schiff, once battling for P6 now, really struggling to hold on to P7.
Yeah, she's dropping into the clutches of Abby Eaton here, and we haven't really seen too much from Abby Eaton over the Esports League so far, so it's nice to see her being involved in some position and look like she's making progress, which is nearly coming up to the halfway point of the W Series Esports League. It's good to see some of these drivers with less single-seater experience, with less sim experience, start to progress and challenge some of their more experienced rivals.
Yeah, talking about progression here, we come up then towards the double right-hander, Abby Eaton. Then this is not a place you can make an overtake very easily, that's for sure. Not quite able to do so there. I think Schiff realised very, very quickly that it was never going to be on for Eaton, so was able to take the optimum line. Eaton then, again, very, very close here as we then come on to the final sector, very fast sector here at Spa. It's now flat out all the way towards the bus stop here, indeed, unless you're side by side like this, potentially. And Eaton then is going to try and, well, she's going to have to, not try, she's going to have to go around the outside here. And you can see that Schiff is not leaving any space at all there. And there's no love lost, that's for certain. And Schiff will indeed hold on for another lap in P7. Marta Garcia still leading by 9/10 of a second. We saw Visser close up last time out in race number 1, and she's got a lot more experience at the front here, Billy, so she would have been able to get a bit more experience in terms of tyre temperatures, although there's a big mistake there. So tyre temperatures, keeping them in range. Of course, it's a very short format race, but you can overheat these tyres very, very quickly. Of course, with the conditions being as sunny as they are, the track temperature is going to be very, very warm. So she will be in a position where she knows that she can take a bit of time off of her lap times and then get them into a very good range where you can gain nearly a second a lap. In the latter stages of the races. We saw it happen in race 1 with an extra 5 minutes here. Marta Garcia's got to be very wary indeed.
Yeah, she really has. And race 1 is probably the hardest race to win, I'd say, for any of these young drivers out there. Just because of the lack of knowledge of how the car's going to handle in the race, where the tyre degradation is going to come into play. Marta Garcia, she handled that very well in race 1. Now she's in race 3. She's got all the knowledge from the first 2 races. And it's really just about putting that into practice now. Although it's an extra 5 minutes, like you say, so there is going to be some more degradation and maybe a few more mistakes creeping into their driving towards the end of the race. But to be honest, at the minute, it looks like she's managing it really well.
We've got a great perspective here then. On board with Belen Garcia. In front of Belen Garcia then is Abby Eaton, who's trying to indeed get the position here off of Naomi Schiff. Then they've got Marty just in front of them here. So then as we come down in towards Pouon, you can see that Garcia maybe not quite got the ultimate pace lap times to close up to these two, but she is just in a perfect position here, I would say. Not too close that if anything happens in front of her, she can avoid it. That's an absolute key factor here. Indeed, she pretty much knows the race victory's gone at this point of the race, but if there's an opportunity for a couple of positions, she will indeed swallow that up for sure. Again, Belen Garcia in that P9. Not able to quite see it from the cockpit anymore, which is a shame. But yeah, very close here towards the right-hand, double right-hander. Then they come onto the very fast section of this circuit. And will we see a mistake here? And actually looks like Abby Eaton struggled through the middle sector here. And it's actually given another bit of respite here for Schiff. So Schiff really has not had any time to breathe really during this race. Been under pressure all race, looking to go forward. Invariably lost a couple of positions going backwards. Made up some positions and now under pressure from Eaton once again. As we come down towards the bus stop here, we're on board then again with Belen Garcia. And you can see this is a fantastic view here. Bit of a missed apex there by Schiff, but Schiff is able to be very defensive there as well. And you can see now Abby Eaton had to check up there with the defensive move. Missed apex from indeed Naomi Schiff. And can Belen Garcia potentially get the move done here on Abby Eaton? Then up towards turn number 1. And again, it might be worth just getting on the brakes a little bit earlier and setting yourself up for that Camel Straight. A little bit too close for my liking here, Billy. Again, maybe worth just tapping off of the accelerator and worried about getting a better exit at the top of the hill.
Yeah, you really need to time this right.
She's actually doing it.
Yes, that's the way to do it though. I think she may have lifted a little bit too late for how I would have approached that, because all that does is mean when you pick the throttle back up to try and get the momentum the rest of the straight, you're in the compression of Eau Rouge and the engine won't pull properly as you come up the hill. So normally it's better to do that earlier along that straight so you can accelerate through Oru. In that situation, yeah, you can see it just didn't have the momentum in the end. But the only advantage Abby Eaton's got, oh wow, she's going to go around the outside here, or is it going to be another switchback? We've seen a lot of those overtakes so far, and yep, the switchback, is she just alongside? Looks like she's going to make it stick here, and that's a great pass.
Oh, that was brilliant stuff there. Schiff trying to pin Eaton onto the apex, and Eaton was too far alongside her, and Schiff then now under pressure here from Belen Garcia. Abby Eaton, it took 2 laps. She sized up her competition, and wow, now look at the gap already. So Eaton definitely with a bit more pace here, and it just took one mistake then up in towards that chicane on the Camel Straight, and you could say that Belen Garcia had a double toe, but it would be so much easier for her to get the move done, indeed, if it was just her and Abby. But Abby was able to indeed be on the coattails then of Schiff. But Schiff now looking in the mirrors at another driver. It is Belen Garcia. So Garcia will want to try and get that position as soon as possible as we head into the last 6.5 minutes of this race. But Abby Eaton, very patient drive here then over the last couple of laps. It's really good to see. That was some really respectful racing around such a tough circuit, Ben.
Yeah, it was great, respectful racing. And for Abby Eaton, the best form of defence is attack. She was under pressure from Belen Garcia at one corner here at Spa. A few corners later, she's passed the one in front, and she's got a gap now. So it's incredible driving, great to see.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, it's not quite done yet. Late on the brakes then for Schiff around the outside, potentially. And Abby Eaton loses out once again. And oh, a little bit of contact between the two drivers. And now can Belen Garcia take full advantage as we come across the line here? 6 minutes remains of our final race here at Spa. And things are about to heat up now. And actually, just in behind them as well is Alice Powell. So Alice Powell's closing in here as well. This could potentially be a 4-way battle. And again, Billy, a lot of these drivers here have the potential to win races, but if you get caught in the mid-pack like this, there's no chance. You lose so much time, obviously going side by side, lap after lap, but for us watching at home, this is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Great for us to watch, but for them, they just cost themselves lots of time to the drivers in front. So it makes it even more entertaining. That's the nature of Spa. We're going to see a 3 wide moment, it looks like, up the Kemmel Straight here, and Belen Garcia is almost on the grass. Wow, that's an incredible move if she can get this stuck, but there's someone on the outside of her. Is she going to give him space?
Oh, Belen Garcia, take a bow. Double move there into that chicane. That's superb. Just moved a little bit left there, going into the entrance of the chicane, Billy, which meant that the 2 drivers on the outside just had to slow down ever so slightly earlier. Otherwise, they all come together. But it wasn't enough for it to be an illegal move. It was just very, very clever. But wow, what an opportunistic move there from Belen Garcia. Eaton and Schiff were so worried about each other, they didn't even worry about the Spaniard behind them. But wow, that's a beautiful bit of work. And actually, where's Schiff? Schiff dropped right down the order. So Schiff has made a mistake here, I think. Yes, oh dear. So Schiff now, I reckon, may have just had a little bit of a half spin. Nowhere near now. So Belen Garcia, well, I can tell you one person who wants to get a bit of revenge on Belen Garcia because she's like an assassin there. Just came in really silently, took the position and said, thank you very much. But Eaton is not letting her go here, that's for certain. And Eaton is going to try and make her 900th overtake of the day. It's been that kind of race for her.
It really has. I mean, it was an incredible overtake we saw there from Belen Garcia, doing 2 people up the end of the Kemmel Straight into that chicane. It's such a hard place to overtake. It's easy in the sense that that's a great opportunity to do it, but to pull it off, especially overtaking 2 people, to judge how late you can get on the brakes and the control and the feel on the brake pedal as well. So easy to lock a wheel up at the end of that straight, go straight on, and lose twice the amount of positions that you tried to gain on the way in. So she's definitely showing us some real skill and racecraft there to get that manoeuvre done.
I think Eaton's turned a corner today. I really do. Like, it's been at the best of times a bit scrappy. Again, maybe not having too much sim experience before this series started, but we've just seen the very best of Eaton today. Again, Belen Garcia does just such a sneaky move, and well, the position has been taken. But the fact that we have been on board with the mid-pack here shows the strength and depth of this championship now. At the start of the series, the start of the season, there was kind of a couple of drivers that were just running away with races. Well, of course, the main driver would be Beitske Visser. But the fact that we're able to look in the mid-pack and there's 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers all battling out, not taking each other out, you know, jostling for position, losing time ultimately, but you know, for our entertainment, jostling for position just shows the strength and depth. But at the front end. There is still that race happening, and Marta Garcia, she could potentially get her second win of the series and of the day, and it'll be a great day for the Spaniard. And Visser, she's had the ultimate pace in terms of lap times over the course of a race, but not been able to get the position on Marta Garcia. Marta Garcia has been the absolute standout today. This battle's still happening, by the way. Abby Eaton behind Bell and Garcia. But I tell you what, Billy, what a classic it is.
Yeah, this is just the nature of Spa as a track. It provides great action and entertainment, with people having many opportunities to just overtake the same person over and over again. And we've seen these two overtake each other about 3 or 4 times during the likes of this race. And that is just the nature of Spa. Obviously, the skill and the racecraft that these girls have shown to provide us such great entertainment has been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been superb. I love this stuff. Again, I'm just very fortunate to be in a position to commentate on this stuff because I'm just a big fan of racing and sim racing. It's awesome to see, but it's just great to see the progression as well. Again, Marta Garcia still leading out. 1 minute 30 seconds to go, so I believe we're about to start the final lap of today's race, and well, we could see another double race winner within this series. Before it started today here at Spa, we had Visser on 7 wins, we had Emma Kymäläinen on 2 wins, we had Sidorkova on 3 wins. Now we're going to have those 3 drivers, but of course we're going to have Tasmin Pepper, who's picked up her first victory. And well, as it stands, it's going to be Marta Garcia that joins the 2-win club, and it's going to be very, very good for her moving forward in this esports series. And as much as it has been about Marta Garcia today, Visser, again, had a poor race 2, but still racking up huge points in race 1 and race 3, still the dominant force in this esports series league.
Yeah, the gap that she's made at the start of this series so far with how dominant she's been, it allows us to not be too critical of her when she doesn't win a race, because Marta Garcia, she's clawed some points back over these 3 races here at Spa, but with a gap that that Visser's got over Sidorkova at the minute, she's really got a nice cushion to play with. She can afford to make a couple of mistakes and have a few 2nd and 3rd place finishes behind the likes of Marta Garcia and Sidorkova, and it's still not be an issue for her.
Yeah, Visser's done the hard work. You know, when Sidorkova, Marta Garcia, Kymäläinen, Tasmin Pepper, well, that's the only exception really in this. When they've got their race wins, Visser's very close behind them. But when Visser gets a race win, invariably those drivers aren't always in and around P2, P3, P4. So that's where the championship, of course, the lead has grown. But, well, you know, as much as she is the championship leader, it's about Marta Garcia today. Marta Garcia has looked so quick. It's great to see. And we've seen flashes of this. We really have seen flashes of this. And I think that we potentially, if this continues, Visser maybe has a couple of poor races, there's every reason to suggest that actually it's not Sidorkova that's the 2nd fastest in this championship and pushing to be at the top end. It is Marta Garcia. We're coming up then towards the bus stop for the very final time here for round 5 of the W Series Esports League. And Marta Garcia, it is going to be a light to checkered flag victory once again. Again, I don't think Visser was late on the brakes in race 1. She's a bit too far back to be late on the brakes this time. Around the final corner then, and well, Marta Garcia, she's going to take the checkered flag for the 2nd time. And well, we've got another double race winner here. In 2nd position, it will be Bajska Visser. You just cannot get rid of her. She is a machine. And in 3rd position, it is Sidorkova. Pepper with an incredible week as well. Rounds out your top 4.
So after 15 races, let's take a look how the leaderboard is shaping up. Bajska Visser, very much the one to beat, 250 points. Arina Sidorkova, 201. Marta Garcia, what a last couple of weeks she's had, and getting 2 wins on the board as well tonight, 181 points. Tasmin Pepper has moved up from 5th to 4th on 147, just 1 point behind. Caitlin Wood, though, has dropped from 4th to 5th. Nerea Marti, another strong week for her. And there you can see the rest of the drivers. So this is the halfway point of the W Series Esports League. I suppose, guys, the basic headlines would be Bajska Visser, 1 to beat, Ira Sidorkova, rising star, and maybe this is the one to give us all hope. We've seen tonight that it's not all over yet. This isn't a done deal. 3 races on the card, a couple of wins, and we've seen how this table flips round, Billy.
Yeah, Marta Garcia, Spa-Francorchamps is a great circuit, and it was all hers today. She drove some magnificent races, race 1 and race 3, to lead from the start the whole way on a circuit like Spa, where we see so much action and slipstreaming. Shows her composure, how she's getting better with each race and each event, and she's definitely one to watch. Looking forward to the next 5 events of this Esports League.
Yeah, she's really found a groove. And look, to be fair to you, this is something that you said from the very first week would happen as we got deeper into this competition, that people would just get a little bit more comfortable, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, we are seeing this. You know, as much as it's about Marta Garcia today, there's also Tasmin Pepper to bring up as well. Not only did she get a race win in race 2, we've seen that from Emma Kimmelainen, 2 race wins, but nothing from qualifying races. So for Pepper to be also in and amongst it when it comes to race 1 and race 3 shows that there's a real 4 dominant drivers in this championship, with Vissa Sidorkova, now Marta Garcia, and indeed Pepper. So again, it's halfway through. It's very hard to bet against Vissa at this point of the series, but there's hope. And you know, if Marta Garcia and Pepper and Sidorkova can all be as consistent as this moving forward in the series, Vissa has a couple of slip-ups like we've seen today. There's every opportunity that we might have a 4-way battle for this series.
Absolutely. We have visited some wonderful racetracks so far, and we certainly have 5 more pretty tricky ones to come. Starting next week, we're off to Watkins Glen. Suzuka comes after that, Mount Panorama Circuit or Bathurst. The Nürburgring Nordschleife is our penultimate track, and we finish off at Silverstone Circuit. But next week, as I mentioned, Watkins Glen. I think just about every race series has been to Watkins Glen. It was, of course, the home of the US Grand Prix for 20 years. But next week, virtually, of course, W Series will be heading there. Luke, Billy, thank you very much for all your efforts this evening. And thank you very much to you at home for watching. We'll see you next week at Watkins Glen.